Welcome to Brand for Good, the show for purpose-driven leaders who want to build timeless brands and create sustainable impact. I'm Lorraine Sugart, former PR and marketing executive turned founder of the disruptive agency Prosper for Purpose. I've worked with some of the world's most beloved brands, and I'm here to help you elevate your brand identity, visibility, influence, and impact. Are you ready to brand for good? Let's go. Welcome to the first official episode of Brand for Good, formerly the Prosper Project. In this episode, I'm going to explain why I changed the name of the show, and then I'll talk about what you can expect in future episodes. But first, if you've been a listener, thank you. And thank you for waiting out the metamorphosis of this show. I've actually known what I wanted to do for several months, but the actual understanding of it took some time. Towards the end of 2023, I began my 3-year strategic vision casting. I reevaluated my business and what I wanted it to look like by the end of 2026. Through this process, I realized that I had evolved over the past 3 years, perhaps more than I ever had before. And with my own evolution, it was time to evolve my brand as well. I want to do more writing, more training, more teaching, and more speaking. And I discovered that I really want to talk about how brands can have positive impact in the world. So consider this, whether you're a consultant working one-to-one with clients, the owner of a small business, or a leader in business that works with thousands of individuals around the world, you have the power to brand for good. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, for some people, it's the direct impact they make through their work. While for others, it's how they use some of the profits from their business to create positive impact. It might be that you're a business committed to reducing the carbon footprint or employing people from underserved communities. Or it might be that you're sponsoring community projects or donating to nonprofits. You get the idea. Brand for good means the good is in the brand DNA. And I'll be talking more about brand DNA in a future episode. The other reason for the name change and niched focus is that I'm at the point in my life and my career where I'm thinking a lot about legacy. So as I see it, we have 3 ways to handle a lifetime's accumulation of skills, knowledge, and wisdom. We can continue to just use them for as long as we're physically and mentally able. We can share them, or we can die with them inside of us. I choose the share option. And Brand for Good is one of the platforms I'm using. I have spent more than 3 decades helping businesses, nonprofits, and individuals build their brands. I've helped raise millions of dollars for nonprofits. I've worked with worldwide companies creating strategies and writing copy. I spent nearly a decade with a social services and social advocacy agency. I also led PR and corporate social responsibility for our large U.S. retailer. I've been very fortunate to have had many great experiences, but every experience has left an imprint on me and taught me something about marketing, about business, and about myself. During the 87 episodes of the Prosper Project, I shared some of these lessons along with the strategies and tactics that I have used and still use with my clients. I interviewed guests who had achieved an aspirational level of success. Whether directly or indirectly, I was aware that most, if not all, of my guests were using their businesses to create positive impact, and I'm grateful to have met them. But from the time I decided to name my agency the somewhat cumbersome name of Prosper for Purpose, I knew that my calling was to use my communication skills to help brands do more good in the world, to do well in order to do more good. I believe that any of you who have been listening to this podcast for any length of time probably also want to do more good. So my plan is to share more of what I know to help you get from vision to impact. What does that look like? Well, in the next episode, I'll be talking about brand influence and how to build it. In future episodes, I'll address topics including the 4 C's of content, the PESO model for communications, and other strategies, techniques, and tactics I use to help my clients. This podcast has always been about service. Hiring an agency is a necessity for some, but a luxury for most. So what are the alternatives? Well, you can source information on your own or hire someone or some company for a fraction of agency rates. So let's look at these two options for a minute. If you source material yourself, you have to trust who you're sourcing it from. And let me give you a clue that the most popular people on social are not typically the most skilled, or they have no experience with businesses like yours. You could buy a bunch of books or courses. Hey, been there, done that. And you will probably find conflicting information. But still not a bad way to start if you have more time than money. Option 2 is to hire a freelancer, coach, or consultant. The challenge here is that the best ones cost nearly as much as an agency, and you still have to do the work yourself. And the ones that seem reasonable often don't deliver measurable results. That's because these are typically people with very little experience who are essentially learning on your dollar rather than cutting their teeth in an environment where they are managed and learning from people more experienced than they are. I've had more than a few clients come to me after trying both of these options. I know there are probably hundreds for each person I've spoken with. So why am I telling you this? In the beginning of this episode, I shared that last fall, I discovered that I really want to talk about how brands can have positive impact in the world. But for many people, that looks like them standing on one side of a stream with their impact on the other. I want to be the bridge. I'd like this podcast to be a real resource for you. I'd like to hear from you. Tell me what your marketing challenges are, and I'll address as many of them as I can. My expertise lies in strategy, storytelling, and PR, as well as brand identity, influence, and impact. I am not a graphic or web designer. I don't have experience in social media advertising or Google ads, but for any challenges in those other areas, I'm here for you. In the next episode, I'll be talking about why influence is the true currency of the online market and how you can grow yours. I can't wait to share more ways that you can brand for good. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Brand for Good show. If you like what you heard, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leave a review so other purpose-driven leaders can find this valuable content. To learn more about building a brand for good, please visit prosperforpurpose.com for more resources and information on all the ways you can work with us.